Good evening, and welcome to the Power of Now. I am Coach Darren, and as you can see, my partner, Coach Mitchell, is not with us this evening, uh, but she shall return. She'll be with us tomorrow night on our Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday. For those of you who saw the invitation, you may know that tonight we want to talk about, you know, what seeds are you planting? You know, now we're not talking about physical seeds, as in actual gardening per se. We want to talk about your thoughts and your beliefs. Those are two of our favorite topics. And you know, why are they important? Because the our thoughts really lead to our ideas, and our thoughts basically are part of our imagination. Now, some will say that both of these, our ideas and imagination, are really a connection between two different realms, two different dimensions. It's between the invisible, our thoughts and imagination represent the invisible. And when we put action to those thoughts and sorry, thoughts and imagination, we transform them into form. So it's a difference between some may say heaven and earth, the invisible and visible. But have you ever really wondered where your thoughts, and ideas come from? They just pop in your head. Well, we also tend to get ideas and thoughts from our state of consciousness, mhm, which we may go into later. But when you're giving, when we're talking about what we're planting in our mind, if you are not intentionally planting, controlling what you're consuming, then other things are being planted. You know, so what are you consuming on a regular basis? What are you exposed to? All of those things will put thoughts and ideas into our subconscious mind. If we don't control what's being planted in our mind, something else or someone else will. So it is important that you are intentional and active in gardening your mind. They say, our thoughts and beliefs are the seeds and our mind is the soil. And regardless of uh, you know, what is planted, it will grow. So is it positive things or is it negative? But either way, something's going to grow. And what grows tends to eventually get harvested in our reality. Now, we may, some people might say, well, that's too esoteric. It's not esoteric, it is just a reality. It's been proven that we can think ourselves into sickness and we can think ourselves into health. So I want you to take a moment and just kind of contemplate, what are your most predominant thoughts throughout your day? What are your thoughts about life? What are your thoughts about love and relationships? What are your thoughts about money? What are your thoughts about health? What are your thoughts about possibilities? Are you still in that space in your life where you believe in infinite possibilities? Or have you been kind of, reduced to thinking of just your current reality? And there's been so much said about not allowing mm, your current reality, not allowing the current physical world to diminish the possibilities that things can change at any moment. So, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you thinking right now? Mhm. So, I kind of want you to just kind of challenge yourself and become aware of your thoughts because it's also said that we are not our mind because if we can observe our thoughts, we can't be our thoughts, so we can't be our mind. So take time and start really paying attention to what you're thinking because we do have the power to control our thoughts. And it can be difficult, but we do have that power. If you find yourself constantly having negative thoughts, you can change that. You can change it at any moment. So here's an exercise. When you think about, when a negative thought pops into your head, you can stop it and just switch to something else. It may keep returning, but you can keep blocking it out. You know, I've had exchanges, just in the last couple of days about our thoughts regarding certain, you know, things, just in general, nothing in particular. But one of the things was, you know, what came up is, do we think about how we think about something really determines that something? And it made me think of the, Shakespeare quote from the play Hamlet, which says, uh, nothing is neither bad nor good nor bad, except thinking it so, or something like that. Mhm. So we determine our reality or our interpretation of reality by how we perceive it. So again, you think about your interaction with people, you think about, and this actually goes in line with our reaction and response. We react when we automatically think something is bad, we tend to react in a negative uh, manner. If we think something's good, we may react in a good manner. But it almost elicits like Pavlov's dog is that we react because we've already allowed something, a thought that's embedded in us to now determine how our behavior. So that thought that determines our behavior was something that's been planted. And if say a belief is nothing more than a repetitive thought. So if you believe that you've been, say, for instance, somebody does something to you and it triggers you, that's pretty good chance that's coming from a more than just that momentary thought. That's a belief that somebody's done something to you and this is how I'm supposed to react. So once you really again start to think about, you know, your thoughts throughout the day. You know, what's uh, are you having mostly positive thoughts? Are you having negative thoughts? Mhm. And how you're feeling. And remember, you have the ability to control your thoughts. And when you're doing this exercise, think about what your predominant thoughts are. If you're going through each day and you're feeling kind of depressed, if you're depressed, kind of monitor what are you thinking about? Because before you arrived at that feeling of depression or a feeling of anger, might even be, you know, uh, a better term because we know there are some medical things that can lead to depression. But you know, even still, if you're depressed about something, you know, what were your preceding thoughts? So again, what's being planted in your mind? What seeds are you planting? If you are feeling kind of angry, where did it come from? We pretty much know, again, if we don't control the seeds that are planted in our mind, something will be planted. So for instance, are you looking at social media? Are you doing something that we all say we shouldn't do, which is do you read the comments? Mhm. Do they trigger an emotion in you? You know, and what are those feelings? So like I said, you have some control. Now you got to be mindful that when negative seeds are planted, they can become addictive. You can get addicted to those emotions associated with negative experience. Now, it may sound strange, but it is true. You can become, so you go back. You want that rush, even if that rush is anger, you know, you'll go back for it again and again. So you want to be mindful of that. Mhm. So let's think about something here. Just looking at my notes, give me a second. Just some things I wanted to touch on. Yeah. uh, and here's the thing, if you're familiar with, and there's a lot of content floating around about, manifestation, well, that's all part of the thought process. And whether you believe it to be true or not is really irrelevant because it's been known scientifically that our thoughts will manifest into certain things. Now, you may not have, manifested success or wealth, but you can still look at your thoughts. What are your thoughts about your success, about wealth? Because remember, your thoughts will lead to your behavior. Mhm. Your thoughts also lead to how you perceive the things that are occurring. And if you have a positive mindset, you're better able to interpret the things that do happen versus if you look at things from a negative perspective. So, what's being planted in your mind? And what would you like for things to be planted in your mind? Now, you ask that question like, what would you like to happen in your life that's not happening? And actually just yesterday, I believe it was, in exchange with somebody, how do you go about transforming your life if you're just in a place where you just want multiple things to occur, uh, multiple positive things. You know what? You start by what you're consuming. What you do with your mind is very similar to what you do with your body. Same thing, very similar to what you do with your spirit. What are you consuming? Are you consuming healthy, enriching, encouraging content? Those are the seeds. Those are the seeds that will ultimately grow into, a more positive reality. You'll have more, you have more control over growing, you know, uh, that production versus if you just let things happen, you'll grow what? Weeds. And anybody who has done any gardening knows it's very difficult to control weeds. They just keep popping up. So you have to be active in suppressing them, eradicating them. It's something really beautiful between, and I've said this before, between nature and humans. I said nature is an awesome blueprint for humans. So just like you plant seeds in nature, you'll plant, seeds get planted in our mind. And the same thing occurs. Some will grow into something, beautiful and spectacular, and some may not. But we know, what, things will grow. So if you want to change or you want new experiences, always look at your thought process. So first thing is, work on learning because when you learning will plant new seeds in your mind. And here's the strange thing: when you learn, you'll get you'll move to a different level of consciousness, and that different level of consciousness will bring new ideas to you. And this may, again, going back to, it might seem a little metaphysical or esoteric. You can only get ideas about things that are aligned with your consciousness. In other words, you have to be in that space to attract those ideas, which is why sometimes two people in different places could come up with the same idea. They're all at that in that same level of consciousness. The flip side, if you say, "Wow, gee, why didn't I think of that?" Because you weren't at that level of consciousness, and that level of consciousness has nothing to do with intellect. So you want to begin learning because that will again help to fertilize your soil to allow new seeds, new ideas. It'll also ignite your imagination, which again we've spoken about before, may seem like, geez, I'm older now. I don't need them. I don't deal in imagination. Well, you probably do. Unfortunately, most of the time, you're imagining the worst, you know, uh, regarding, how something may happen, as opposed to when you were younger, your imagination was probably mostly about possibilities, about what you would become, what you want to become. But as we get older, we kind of shut down our imagination and then we only imagine the worst unless we control it, which again goes back to you have the power to control this capability. So when you know think about your self mind control, you want to be an active participant in your thoughts. You want to be mindful of what you're thinking. And it may seem exhausting, but it becomes natural. You'll just know it. He's like, no, I don't even want to think like that. And it helps too when you already have, you're living, say, with intention, your thoughts, I think, will fall in line with that. So your goal right now is first become observant of your thought process. And we shared this before. It's believed that we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Again, I don't know how they counted this, but let's go with it. And most of those thoughts are repetitive, and most of those repetitive thoughts are negative. So ask yourself, how did we as a species come to the point where most of us are thinking the same thoughts day after day, and most of those thoughts are negative? Do you see something wrong with that? Then if you look at, what, the way things are occurring with a large part of the population, maybe you could begin to understand why. People are, again, they're driven by their subconscious thoughts, the part that we aren't even aware of that uh, have been planted deep in our mind, and they tend to control our behavior. So if most of those thoughts are negative, it's a pretty good chance we're going to have negative behavior. And a good portion of that behavior will probably be self-sabotaging, or self-destruction. There are going to be limitations. So again, begin to put the pieces together. If we're thinking the same thing over and over, day in and day out, and most of those things are negative, and repetitive thoughts become beliefs, and our beliefs and thoughts will dictate our emotions and behavior. Well, you have right there. If you are thinking negative, depressing thoughts all the time, you're programming your subconscious, which is then leading to the same, negative self-destructive behavior. It may vary, in terms of, is it subtle versus people who are extremely self-sabotaging. So there's another area for you to think about. Hello, Coach Mitchell. Thank you for popping in. Even though you're not here on the screen, it's nice to have you in the audience. So this, I kind of had, my set of notes, and I'm really kind of flowing right here. And I'm gonna just go with that and not worry about my notes. And there's a reason why my notes, they're here, but they're not here. So one of the most important things that you can do, you know, in terms of the quality of your life is look at the quality of your thoughts. Really analyze. You see so many things on social media, and a lot of it is, again, a lot of it is negative. It's drama. It's combative. Um, and I say combative. Everything appears to be, you know, a debate, an argument. You know, uh, at the end of the day, most of it is negative. I don't think people are leaving, from the interaction with social media. I don't think the majority of people are leaving on a high note. And I'm not saying that there aren't, there's not anything good, but we pretty much know, you just see a lot of junk content. So if you spend time on social media, if you look at the news, look all at anything pretty much out there, if you aren't actively looking for positive content, you're going to be inundated with negative content. And that's going to be planting seeds in your mind. You're going to start feeling a certain kind of way. And then you're going to do things that are self destructive without even being aware of it, which will lead to more negativity in your life. That's why you know, what? You have to be intentional about what's being planted in your mind. Mhm. You know, I'm sure we've mentioned it on this platform, but are you familiar with things like the placebo effect or the sugar pill effect, uh, or the spontaneous remission studies? All of these have to do with uh, how people became well, cured themselves, and all they could equate it to was it was a person's thinking, basically their belief and their faith. And the faith could be in, multiple, it could be a faith in God, it could be a faith in yourself, it could be in faith that you just had a power. Uh, what that faith is in, it may vary, but that faith is really strengthening your belief system. And from that, things occur. Yes. Coach Mitchell, just said a lot of deliberate, negligent narratives and content being generated. No, absolutely. And a lot of it is also it's deliberate, negative, uh, and some of it's just foolishness. That I think for a mature person, you just have to look at it and go, "Wow, you know, there are people actually who are attracted to this or felt a need to put this out here, you know, in the public space. And then, we consume it. Again, yes, we have to be, as Coach Mitchell just, suggested, we have to be intentional about, you know what we digest, what we consume, and what we digest. Because we know even on a physical level, yeah, there's a saying that it's not really what we eat, it's what we digest. And that is on a when it comes to good health, that applies. What can our body digest? And I say when it comes to good health, because our body won't digest unhealthy things. When it comes to our mind, I think it's slightly different. Our mind will digest both good, healthy and unhealthy content. So we have to be intentional about limiting or even eliminating. I I think it'd be really difficult to eliminate all the negative content, but you have to build up a resiliency so that it doesn't really impact you. And that again, it takes effort. So if you're trying or if you want to take this journey of really controlling, you know, being an active mental gardener, it's going to be a process. You're going to give yourself time because if you only allowed uh, things just to come, into your mind, good or bad, you just whatever happened, it's a pretty good chance you probably done the same thing with your food consumption, where you just eat and whatever, and you don't give much thought to it. And in both cases, if you want to change over and become intentional, you have to be on really alert all the time. And then you get to a point where it becomes second nature. You'll just go, no, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to watch that or I don't read that. I know people who just, they share a lot of negative content. It's news. They think they're doing something, but I think they're getting a fix off of sharing, just just sharing the negative energy. Think about this too. I've asked this question: why does the local news share negative uh, content from news on the other side of the country? Or if it's not on the other side, could be halfway through, could be 2 or 3 states over. The point is, it's not in our area. But why do they do that? And let's see, I got somebody here. Uh, hey, coach, long time. Who might that be? Can I figure it out? Nope, I cannot. Um, let's see. Oh, oh, you know what? Yeah. See, Coach Mitchell normally does this, but uh, whoever I'm thinking, hey, coach, it must be okay, Stacy. All right, that was going to be my second guess. Stacy, glad to have you. Hmm? Hope everything is going well. Uh, and if I'm correct, Stacy, I think since the last time you were here, didn't you just get a black belt mm, in martial arts? If that's correct, I want to just say congratulations. Mhm. Uh-uh. So, yep, okay. Congratulations. Uh, Now, I'm actually use that as an example. Before you got your black belt, there had to be some thinking that led to certain actions that led to further thinking, that led to further actions. mm, But I'm assuming before you even started the journey, you had you had to see yourself, you had to visualize a possibility that there was a possibility of me getting this black belt. mm, And if there were any obstacles, your thought process went beyond that. You planted seeds of possibility, you know, and then you start the journey. And when we look at something that we put forth work, we don't always equate that to what we might refer to as manifestation, but actually it is. Mhm. It was a thought that led to actions, which led to bringing something into our reality. If the thoughts the thoughts were negative, that reality would not have happened. So you want to again take the time to think about the power of our thoughts. And we see this in so many ways, and it's been described in so many ways about the power of our thoughts. It's been, described from religious perspectives, metaphysical perspectives, spiritual perspectives, esoteric perspectives, philosophical perspectives, that our thoughts basically define who we are. So ask again, what seeds are you planting this season that you want to see grow into something of substance? Yes, yep. It, it was a thought and the power to say, yes, I can. Mhm. And the yes, I can, you know, what? That is what some may refer to as an affirmation, which reinforces the subconscious mind. Mhm. Doesn't say, yes, I will. Mm, Yes, I can. Those, again, it's a present tense. Yes, I can. Mhm. It's all part of, this mental, uh, I won't call it a game, but, some, teachings will say that the entire universe is nothing, it's mental. Mhm. So our mind, our thoughts are basically, what we think helps us align or connect to the mental aspect of the universe. Yes, manifestation, thoughts that led to taking action. So if the universe is mental, you say universe is mental. I've even heard from religious perspective that the way to connect to God is through our thoughts and imagination. So if you go either route, you're going to come to the same place. So think about that. Our thoughts really allow us to connect to that, going back to that invisible world, you know, or the invisible aspect of our existence. So what are you thinking? Mhm. The thing about it is that we never really give, based off of our uh, how many people are raised, you don't get a lot of education on controlling your thoughts. You know, you might get the typical, oh, whatever you believe, you can conceive, you can achieve, but really something more than that to control and fight and block the negative thoughts that usually and the limiting beliefs uh, that prevent us from becoming better versions of ourselves. So just kind of, recap is you want to really start by being intentional about what you're feeding or what you're planting in your mind. You want to observe what your thoughts are because that'll kind of give you an idea of what you need to, what new things you need to start, uh, what new seeds you need to start planting. So you want to, you know, just be an observer. We always talk about that awareness. Everything begins with the awareness. So, mm, uh, uh, thank you. Uh, I believe that is Mitchell's aunt, Miss Mills. Thank you for joining us and for your comment. Mm, I think as we get older, they say, we get older, we get jaded. Life kind of, you know what, our experiences cause us to become maybe bitter, grouchy. Mm, uh, Here's the thing, because our thoughts impact our health, there's no there's nothing to be proud about being an old grouchy, you know, individual because that just impacts our overall health, which again, it's all connected. It leads to a downward cycle. Just like we can think ourselves into sickness, which many of us might remember doing this as a child. You didn't want to go to school, you thought yourself into sickness. Now, I believe it's called psychosomatic. mm, And some of us really got sick. And this is where the whole study of spontaneous remission is where the healthcare and or the medical field has kept records of people who have done the opposite. They thought themselves into health, and doctors could not, science could not explain it. So it shows you the power of our thoughts. It reinforces that our thoughts are the way we can connect to that divine, divinity, again, whatever you choose to call it. We may not be able to articulate or explain every piece, but we know it's there. Because as I said earlier, when an idea pops in your head, that just pops in your head, you have to ask yourself, where did that come from? And that's why, again, by some teachers said, when you receive an idea, it was given to you, it was divinely given to you. The question is, what will you do with it? It is, you know, to say it's a gift. So we have such infinite power with our mind, and most of us are not aware of it. And I think that's where we miss out. I think it's a part of life that we miss out because we haven't tapped into, and there's so much to learn about how to really utilize our mind. Now, earlier, oh, okay, Mitchell, that was one of the pieces of scripture I was thinking about. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. But before that, Mitchell mentioned, manifestation, thoughts that lead to taking action. But it actually even gets more powerful than that. And it's gets, when I say more powerful than that, is the more conscious you become, the more you're able to tap into your consciousness or leverage your consciousness, and you do that through prayer, meditation, uh, the more you're able to tap into that, the quicker you're able to manifest things with less action. All right, so you have to, as we elevate our state of consciousness through prayer and meditation, the quicker we are able to bring things into our reality with less action. Now, that may sound strange, but it's also something that's been documented in many ways. Science has now proven that it's just manipulation of, we'll say, matter, and we'll say mind over matter. But from a scriptural perspective, it's also been shown that, and I got into a discussion with someone about this who didn't believe in manifestation, but they believed in Jesus Christ. So I simply asked them, how could you not believe in manifestation, but you say you believe in Jesus Christ? Well, what did Jesus Christ do when he turned, and I'm not a biblical person, I'm just stating the facts, right? What occurred when he changed, two fish and five loaves? In the moment, that's manifestation. And it's the manifestation as a result of one state of consciousness. That's also why they use the term Christ consciousness when describing that high level of consciousness. It's become the generic term to describe high level consciousness. So manifestation can occur, you know, with, again, your mind, with your thoughts, and you're able to bring things into your reality faster when you are at a higher level of consciousness. You have to be at that consciousness uh, on a level of the things that you want. And if you read, study any of this, you will see that I'm not making this up. Again, ancient cultures, ancient scripture, and now quantum science are all saying the same thing. It's all rooted in what are you thinking every day? What are your predominant thoughts? Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they based in fear or based in faith? Which some say, fear and faith are just, the opposite sides of the same coin. So it's on you. What are you doing? You want something to occur in your life? Are your thoughts aligning with what you want? Or are you just allowing or hoping? And even if you're hoping, that's a plus versus not even wanting something good to happen. So, my challenge again to you is observe your thoughts, you know, throughout the day. Observe what you're exposing your mind to throughout the day. Is it mostly negative or is it positive? Where would you like your thoughts to lead to? Something negative, something positive, or you'll just see what happens. This is where your power resides. And again, I don't want to get too, you know, uh, say esoteric or too even philosophical, and definitely I don't want to get too scientific. So I hope I did not do that. Just know this: You have the power to control your reality by controlling your thoughts and your beliefs. So, what is it that you want to happen? Huh? Any questions? Oh, you know what? Just one other thing about the power of our thoughts. Yeah, I mentioned about how our thoughts can impact our health. It's also been proven too that our thoughts can impact others. It can impact the health of others. They've, shown that if a physician does not believe a person's going to get better, a patient's going to get better, that patient usually does not get better. And the flip side, you know, it also said, about don't bring negative energy around unhealthy people. They pick up your energy. And again, they are less likely to get healthy again. It is all mental. And I'm gonna use the words, yes, all a mind game, but I don't want to use the word game. But I think it's just important for us to be more mindful about our thoughts. Mm. And again, yep, observe your thoughts, the content you're ingesting, and observe how you're acting out those thoughts and interacting with others around you. That is so true. Thank you for summarizing that, Coach Mitchell. All right. Any mm, any questions or any thoughts? Mm, If not, it has been a pleasure. Uh, what? Felt a little awkward without Coach Mitchell with me because I was planning on having her in this discussion tonight, and then my notes got kind of, you know, discombobulated. But nonetheless, we still made it happen. And most importantly, you know what? I want you to have an enjoyable, thoughtful evening and week. And I will see you here tomorrow night, where we're also going to talk about planting seeds, just a different type of seed. Mhm. And Coach Mitchell will be here with me tomorrow night. Mhm. So until then, and as Coach Mitchell will say, if you don't start now, there will be no next. Thank you so much and enjoy your evening. Oh, here's mine. Yes, I know it was.